everyone. Welcome to another one of our Career Catalyst sessions. I'm Annabelle Baldy from BioBuzz. And as a lot of you guys know, because I see some familiar faces on here today, I've had the pleasure of hosting this series for about the past year and a half. This year, we're switching things up a little bit and inviting some experts in our community to step into the host role across 4 different Career Catalyst tracks. And today, I'm excited to introduce Paris McKenzie, who's going to be leading our biomanufacturing track and hosting these sessions once a month. So you guys might have seen on kind of the recordings on YouTube, but Paris had a fantastic session with us a few months ago. So I would highly recommend going and checking that one out. And today she's going to be presenting on curiosity, a career advantage. So a little bit about Paris. She's a biotechnology support technician and manufacturing technician at Longeviti Neuro Solutions. So she has a background that spans biomanufacturing, entrepreneurship, and also creative industries. She has a nail business. She's an awesome artist. And her career kind of reflects how curiosity and can kind of open the right doors and take you to maybe a path that's not as like linear you didn't expect. So she's going to be kind of sharing some of her insights today, sharing some of her journey, and very excited to have her on today, like I said. Before we do get started, I do want to thank our sponsor for today's session. So we have Workforce Genetics, we have BioTrack. Workforce Genetics, they have been helping to connect talent with high-performing teams for over 20 years. So I would definitely check them out if you're kind of in your job search. You can go and check them out at workforcegenetics.com. We also have BioTrack, like I said. That's another sponsor for today's session. And they have hands-on biotech workshops. They've trained over 17,000 scientists. So I'd highly recommend checking them out at biotrack.com. They're a really great resource for upskilling. So like I said, definitely check them out. And like I said, these sessions are part of the BioBuzz Talent Lab. So your one-stop shop for career growth, job opportunities, and industry connections. I would definitely go create a profile on our Talent Lab to join our beta testing of that today. All right, so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Paris and let her introduce herself and get us started.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Annabelle, so much for that amazing introduction. My name is Paris McKenzie. I'm super honored to be the lead of the biomanufacturing track for this year's Career Catalyst program. And I'm super excited to just share some of my knowledge, share some of my experiences, and help others navigate this space, navigate life sciences, and just understanding their career and the advantages that they have. One of them is curiosity. And a little more background about me, I started out in the beauty industry. As Annabelle mentioned, I do have a nail business, but I started out initially being known for opening a beauty supply store. So I was the youngest owner of a beauty supply store at 16 years old. And of course, as my businesses grew, I ended up graduating high school early. And I came to college pretty early as well. And that led to me having some academic challenges where I experienced having a 0.38 GPA. And I worked very hard. I got my mind back on track, and I was able to finish college on time, graduating with an interdisciplinary degree in health and human sciences. And by saying all of this, I'm giving you guys a little bit more background on myself before I entered biomanufacturing, so you can see that it wasn't always like, it may have not seemed like I always had a direction, but everything definitely led to exactly where I needed to be. And one of the most important tools that I used to get there was curiosity. And my goal here is to make curiosity tangible for you all. My goal is to help you all understand curiosity with intention. And that's what we're going to go into now. First, I want to go into redefining curiosity. Many of us know curiosity as a human instinct. Humans are born curious. Humans are born asking questions. And some may see it as just a personality trait. Some people may ask more questions than others. But Curiosity is truly a way of thinking and engaging with the world, and it can be practiced, trained, and directed. Innate curiosity may open the door, but practice curiosity keeps you going. It is very important to move with intention through curiosity. For myself, I'm a pretty innate curious person. I always grew up asking more questions and wanting to know the way things work. However, I didn't always have the tool of curiosity. I just had it within me and I wasn't moving with intention. So curiosity became more confusion for me. I was asking questions, but I didn't know what was the purpose behind the questions that I was asking. Curiosity connects seemingly unrelated experiences. Skills travel across industries. Curiosity reveals patterns and systems, and nonlinear paths make sense once you zoom out. These 3 points resonate with me greatly because I'm still a nail technician after hours, after working at Longevity as a manufacturing tech and biosupport technician. And through doing nails is where I really learned how to mold to the human body, which is something that is translated in Longevity Neuro Solutions as well, where we make cranial implants, custom cranial implants at times, where we are literally molding the defect of a patient's skull. So at first, I didn't know that being a nail tech would be something that would help me in biomanufacturing. But as I as I entered the field, I realized that just asking questions with doing nails by why is my acrylic reacting a certain way? Why is the temperature increasing on my client? How can I file this nail to get the shape that I desire? How can I buff this to make sure that it's polished correctly? Those different questions literally translated into my work in biomanufacturing. And mostly because actually the acrylic used, the chemical materials used in that industry are the same that can be used in medical devices. So me asking questions with doing nails very much helped me understand the materials that I use when making implants in biomanufacturing. Actually, back to the last slide, I actually wanted to speak on definitely my education as well. Um, my education wasn't really linear. It wasn't really storytelling. It wasn't the perfect traditional education experience that a lot of people had in college. And at first, I was experiencing mental health challenges that led me to get that 0.38 GPA. And that's when, again, I began asking questions and learning to ask questions with intention. And I wanted to figure out what are the skills that I already have that can help me in the life sciences space in the medical industry. I knew I wanted to be in the medical industry. I knew I couldn't go to medical school at that time. So asking questions like that led me to discover the School of Interdisciplinary Studies at Morgan State. And a lot of students still don't know about it, but asking questions about the different parts of myself that I can use led me to find my degree, which then led me to study multiple different parts and sciences of the human body. And that has helped me within my career greatly. Asking questions within yourself, asking questions at hard times, being curious about things outside of just the normal questions that people may ask, and still having confidence to ask questions during hard times has definitely led me to achieve the things that I have thus far and think outside of the box. What curiosity looks like in practice. Curiosity may be asking why beyond what's required and paying attention outside of your assigned task and wanting to understand systems, not just steps. Here, I want to talk about my experience entering biomanufacturing. I just recently entered the space of biomanufacturing about a year and a half ago while I was still in college. And this is definitely my first job. Um, I've never really worked a job outside of this experience. So going straight into my first job and it being biomanufacturing and it being also at a company where everything is done in-house from beginning to end. The product is thought of, brought to life, and then placed to the patient, given to the patient, all within the company that I work for. So there are many, many systems that intersect here at Longevity. And I often asked why things exist like quality management systems. Why do I have to follow this work instruction? Why do I have to follow this SOP? Why is this SOP written the way it is? Things like that, questions like that, I should say, give you very, very impactful insight. And I also paid attention outside of my assigned task. And what's important to note here is paying attention outside of your assigned task is something that grows as you grow within your current role. Once you gain the confidence in biomanufacturing, because you have to understand, biomanufacturing is very important and a very serious industry. We're changing the lives of patients. We're changing the outcomes of patient surgeries and the way certain conditions are treated. We're basically the technology and the builders, the crafters of the medical industry. We put things together so that the doctors can put them in place. And you definitely want to take your main role in your job extremely seriously. You always want to make sure you're paying attention to your assigned task. But once you gain that confidence within your role, it is also good to pay attention to how your department interacts with the departments around you. And that leads into the next point, which is wanting to understand systems and not just steps. And within biomanufacturing, it can become very confusing or sometimes overwhelming with the amount of work instructions, the amount of steps that we may have in creating the products that we build. But sometimes it is also equally important to take a step back and to look at the systems that are in place and not just the direct steps and tasks that you have to do to build that product. There's a life of the product before it is in your hands and after it leaves your hands. And being curious means asking another department questions about how did this product get to this stage? I personally work on sonolucent cranial implants, so this allows ultrasound to monitor neurological conditions, and it also allows for reconstruction of the skull, the cranium, after trauma or things like that. And the implants that we have many different implants, customs or off the shelves. And I really wanted to understand the science behind the different off the shelf implants. How did we get to this point? How did we differentiate them? How did we know that we needed different sizes? And I had to reach out to the R&D department to do that. I also wanted to know how do people know about these implants? Yes, we have sales reps in hospitals, but sales reps don't always attend conferences and things like that. So I wanted to know, how do people know about our product? And I had to reach out to the marketing department to understand that. So there are many different departments that intersect that create a system within biomanufacturing, and being curious there becomes a career advantage. Understanding the systems becomes a career advantage because this deepens your product and process understanding. And for me, that's exactly what happened. Not only learning about the product before me, which was in R&D, the way it was developed, the things that are thought about. Is this safe for a patient? How does the patient react to this? What is the effects of the implant being implanted for a certain amount of time? Asking these questions and being curious about the system and not just the steps of me physically making the implant helped me understand the material that I was working with. So understanding the material that you're working with, it leads to quick, very, very quick growth within, I personally work within production, so it leads to very, very, very quick growth within production. And if you don't work within production and biomanufacturing and you're in a different department, just understanding your product and just the process understanding helps you communicate within different departments. This leads into the next point about expanding role flexibility and job mobility. I started out as a manufacturing tech one, and now I'm a biotechnology support technician and a senior manufacturing technician as well. And this change came from me asking those questions amongst the different departments. And now as a biotechnology support technician, I am at the intersection of these departments. Asking those questions literally became a career advantage for me because I learned the language of other departments. I was able to communicate with them better. I was able to understand the things that they were saying to me before having to go and do extensive research. I was able to understand the life cycle of what I was developing within biomanufacturing and be able to help in other areas. And this expands your role flexibility, not only if you want to stand at the intersection of multiple different departments, but if you would like to move to a different department, this helps you gain recognition from people in another department, you asking them questions, them remembering your name, them remembering your presence, them thinking of you as an insightful person, them thinking of you as a person who asks the right questions or asks questions at all, because it is important, very, very important to ask a question. There is no wrong questions. So it is definitely it's expanded role flexibility and job mobility, and it broadens your insight as well within startup and networking environments. I'll definitely say having an entrepreneurship background and starting a business within beauty is not exactly the same as starting a business within biomanufacturing. With startups, you need funding, you need researchers, you need a lot of different things that I didn't need just looking through a beauty catalog to fill my shelves. So asking these deeper questions, understanding the systems, and paying attention to things outside of just what you come to work to do, it can broaden your insight if you're deciding to start your own medical device company in the future, or if you're joining a startup. Usually with startups, you kind of are forced to be interdisciplinary. You are forced to have different roles. You're forced to be different people at the company because when you're at a startup medical device company, you kind of got to do anything that makes it work, anything to get to the point where, okay, I can get this in a patient, I can get this to product testing and get approved. You have to be an interdisciplinary person. You have to not have bounds within yourself. You have to be the person to ask questions, even if it is uncomfortable. And you have to be intentional with these questions. And once you start moving with that intention and curiosity, you gain that insight not only in startup, and you gain the capabilities not only in startup, but in networking events and environments as well. I attended my first event about a month after college, my first life sciences networking event, about a month after college. And it was a BioBuzz event, actually. And due to my experiences in school, my academic challenges, I didn't do much networking while I was in school. I didn't even do an internship while I was in college. And BioBuzz was the first networking opportunity I had. And being there and meeting different people with PhD level education, people with their own companies, being a person who moved with intention, with curiosity at my own company, at my own job, and speaking with executives within my own company, my job, and asking questions amongst different departments outside of just production, I was able to meet people at the networking event from BioBuzz. I was able to meet people who had higher education, who had PhDs. I was able to meet them, people who worked in departments other than just production, people who worked in quality, people who worked in research. When meeting them, I was able to actually communicate and understand their language. And it is so important when you do, it's so important to do this because you then build relationships that you would never imagine where it can take you. I wouldn't have imagined being a career catalyst lead on BioBuzz. I wouldn't have imagined being like a biotechnology support technician. I wouldn't have imagined creating Geniuses, which is another group that I have that connects Black women in STEM. It's so many opportunities were birthed from just meeting someone and understanding their language. Making someone feel seen is more important than you think. And sometimes at these networking events, my session last year that we discussed was just battling imposter syndrome. A lot of people there are just as nervous as you, if not more. And being a curious person with intention and understanding things outside of just your experiences, it leads you into just it just helps you build connections. It helps you build relationships that are very important in your career and that can really launch your career to the next level. Curiosity can be transferable across industries, across roles. If you're not just in biomanufacturing and you're in another form of life sciences, curiosity with intention will always, even if it is your personal life, curiosity with intentions, asking questions, connecting dots by asking questions and understanding, using your curiosity as a tool rather than just an instinct is something that would genuinely launch your career to the next level. It truly has for me. I'm still only less than a year out of college, and I've already received a promotion, and things may not be exactly the way it is for me, for you, but I'm telling you from my experience that curiosity with intention, asking questions and asking where can the answer of this question help me in the future would truly change your entire career. Okay, so thank you so much. I just want to leave everyone with a note that your career may not look like everything is figured out now. My career definitely, and my education, my academics did not look like everything was figured out for me. But curiosity with intention is a practiced way of learning. It's not going to change overnight. And curiosity may not guarantee you a straight path, but it will definitely guarantee you a resilient path, and it will keep you going, and it'll keep you passionate and encouraged at times of challenge. It helps you translate experience, like adapting to change, growing opportunities that you may not have planned for. Like I didn't plan to be within biomanufacturing, but my curiosity definitely led for growth in this area. And thank you so much for listening to me. I hope there was something tangible that you all can take away from this conversation and learning about my experiences.